how many different things have you paid your attention to today? And what percentage of them are actually important or even necessary to you? And what percentage of them can you hardly even remember? The truth is, the latter outweighs the former for nearly everyone who answers this question. Now, it's no mystery that we're living in an age of constant distraction and stimulus, but our life experience is shaped by what we choose to pay attention to. Minutes spent distracted turn to hours, turn to days, turn to years, and suddenly that percentage of your day, which you hardly remember, becomes the percentage of your life which you've completely forgotten. Attention is your most valuable resource. Whatever or whoever you find yourself paying attention to in a moment completely consumes your consciousness, and even if your mind was hopping from one subject to another every second, for just that 1 second at a time, you're only thinking about one subject. So if something or someone can grab a hold of your attention for any amount of time, they can grab a hold of your consciousness and they can grab a hold of you. And this is why when you're looking at your phone, when you're looking at your television, when you're browsing the web, or when you're out in public and observing your surroundings, there are hundreds of entities, all competing for just a second of your attention. Everywhere we look, there are thousands of people, thousands of companies, all pushing against each other with the hopes of being the next one standing in the spotlight of your mind's eye. So the question is, how did we even get here? Well, the world wasn't always this way, and even in the age of social media, there was a time when the intention behind it seemed relatively positive. Social media as we know today began as a way to improve people's connections with one another. Early versions of MySpace and Facebook, the most popular modern social media sites of the time, focused themselves around messaging features, profile building, and branded themselves as enhanced digital Rolodexes for you to keep track of your friends, share memories with one another, plan gatherings, and instantly communicate with people outside of your area. The focus was on connecting human beings and maintaining and forging relationships. But in 2017, a nuclear bomb was dropped in the war for our attention, and its radiation is only now just starting to affect us. TikTok. As many of us already know by now, TikTok's algorithm has set a new precedent for what it takes to get our attention. TikTok delivers every user an endless scroll of options. If one doesn't grip you instantly, a simple movement of your thumb can serve you something else with the promise of being infinitely more interesting. It never ends, and one more, possibly even more satisfying bite of content is always around the corner. And the truth is that TikTok's algorithm fosters a ruthless competition for our attention, and because of that competition, content creation has evolved towards maximizing efficiency. Content is now faster, louder, and more stimulating than ever, and as content has evolved, so has our thirst for instant gratification. And unfortunately, this learned thirst for instant gratification extends far beyond TikTok. We now expect it from everything: our personal development, our careers, our relationships. If we're not getting dopamine or seeing a payoff immediately, we'll move on to something else. In this world, boredom is no longer a necessity, it's a choice. And why would anyone choose to be bored if given countless constant alternatives? They wouldn't. And the companies behind our social media, entertainment, and advertising have always targeted this facet of human nature, the fear and loathing of being bored. But they've never truly been able to milk it for all it's worth, until now, because TikTok has given them the blueprint for demanding human attention, and they're all following it to a T. Every social media platform has implemented a user interface, short form, and live features to mirror those made popular by TikTok. And you can see this bleeding into the rest of our society. The TikTokification of our world is happening gradually before our very eyes. Everywhere you look, it's another voice yelling, another colorful explosion, another hot take, another sensationalized headline, another billboard promising to fix your life, and another meaningless performance. It seems like life itself is becoming closer to feeling like a never-ending scroll. If we're not interested in a piece of content within the first second or two, we'll simply move on. There are too many avenues to satiate our appetite for immediate stimulus. There's too much content and too many ways to consume it. But in this context, is there really such a thing as too much? Shouldn't having an infinite number of options for engaging in entertainment, learning, and open discourse be a good thing? Well, on paper, maybe, but in reality, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. These are the words of Herbert Simon, one of the great minds of the 20th century, and the quote just gets more relevant every single day. We're absolutely flooded with information. There's so much content out there that you could focus on that nearly all of it goes completely unnoticed. It's made attention so much more scarce that it's become as valuable as actual money. In some situations, even more valuable. For tons of online services, you don't need to pay a penny. Your attention is what pulls the billions in for Meta and Google's bank accounts. We don't see or use attention in the same way as corporations, of course. To us, attention has always been sacred. People desire it because it tells us what's meaningful. If you do or say something and people pay attention to it, it means it's mattered in some way. And we crave this recognition. People who have everything in life, from unimaginable wealth to limitless power, still seek attention. It's the whole meaning behind leaving a legacy behind. People want to be recognized even after they're gone. You and your life's work will inevitably crumble to dust. But if there are still people talking and thinking about you, then you'll always mean something. So people will pursue you this by any means necessary, and just one glance at almost any corner of the internet will tell you that this pursuit isn't always noble. Actually, more often than not, it's the opposite. For example, punching someone in the face, vandalism or harassment in public is undoubtedly a good way of getting an audience's attention. In many ways, it's depraved, but time and time again, it's been proven to work, because attention is now a game we're all seeking to win. Before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor Rocket Money. You see, a few months ago, I subscribed to free trials of music and a bunch of fitness applications. And yet, because I was doing this without really thinking, I didn't realize that I was being charged for all of them. So first I attempted to cancel my fitness app. I logged into my account and I spent hours trying to navigate through the menus. And finally, I found the cancellation option. But it didn't stop there. The app then confirmed me to confirm this cancellation through an email link. Then I tried to cancel the music app subscriptions and it was the same. I kept searching through menus to find the option to cancel them. And when I realized I had wasted hours and hours trying to cancel all of these subscriptions, not only did I realize I was paying for them, but I also wasted a bunch of time trying to do this. And that's why today's sponsor Rocket Money is here to help. Rocket Money has swooped in and transformed my financial life for the better. This all-in-one personal finance app has been a great solution to me bleeding money for all these subscriptions that I don't care about, helping me save both time and money effortlessly. Because with the sheer number of subscriptions we accumulate over time, it's easy to lose track and end up paying for services we no longer use or even need. And Rocket Money has made it incredibly simple to view and manage all of my subscriptions in one place. The app automatically detects recurring charges, highlights them, and allows me to easily cancel or adjust them with just a few taps. This alone has saved me countless hours of digging through emails and websites. And you can also use it to lower your bills, set budgets, monitor your credit card, grow your network, or even set up smart savings. So discover the key to financial independence with Rocket Money today. And you can start with Rocket Money for free, where you can join the community of 3.4 million members who are making smarter financial choices with Rocket Money. Visit rocketmoney.com/moon or tap the link below to begin your free journey. And for an enhanced experience with more features, check out that premium version too. And companies have taken this vital human need for recognition and turned it into a commodity, something that is exploited. By giving people a platform to indulge and gamify their need for attention, they've turned it into their own economy. By displaying a constant scoreboard of views and likes, and letting people compete with each other for who can gain the most attention. But what about the flip side of the transaction? It could be argued that it's infinitely more important how we distinguish who or what is worth our own attention than how we pursue getting attention from others. And when someone takes your attention, it means a representation of them is present within your consciousness. It transforms their message from something that didn't mean anything to anyone into something that overtakes your entire world, at least for a moment. And this can be dangerous, because what we pay attention to determines our experiences, and over time, our experiences shape our lives and who we become. So to control our own lives effectively and become the best versions of ourselves, we must find a way to control our attention and ultimately treat how we spend it with care. But anyone living in today's world knows that's nearly impossible, because every day you will inevitably have thousands of interactions perfectly designed to distract you. And in some ways, it is amazing. Online content is far more representative of what people actually want to see compared to TV or traditional media, but it's tainted by the fact that corporations are in complete control of the platforms and are solely interested in profit, using their algorithms to do whatever they need, meaning they've built systems to put as much focus as possible and taking as much time and attention from people as possible. And the people who can addict you to their most vapid, empty, addicting videos rise up to the top. And as time went on, they found out that the TikTok system we talked about earlier is best at this. It's the most addictive, mind-numbing way to keep people's attention. It leaves them wide open for adverts, product placement, and all other marketing tools. It's what best places people in the state of mindless scrolling and consuming that these companies want. People don't put nearly enough value on their own attention. With this essential link to the time you have left, it's the most limited resource you possess. Yet these apps make people addicted to wasting hours of it every day on content that doesn't actually add anything to their own lives. Time that could be spent on something productive. Even as a way to unwind and relax, it doesn't really work well. Your brain is constantly kept busy moving from one thing to the next, constantly stimulated, always awake, never at rest, inevitably leaving you wanting more vacuous content, more dopamine, whilst melting away the time that you do spend scrolling. And while we're being hopelessly distracted with all the wrong things, we still tend to realize our time is being wasted. But what if I told you this time isn't being wasted at all, it's being sold? Attention merchants are constantly selling eyeballs, attention, and valuable real estate in your mind to advertisers. And for a long time, corporate attempts to sell you products online were painfully obvious and intrusive, making them easy to avoid or ignore. But now it's infecting everything. Because the truth is, it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to find any form of news or entertainment that doesn't have some sort of ulterior motive to capitalize on, using all of your emotions and anger, But there is another form of content that doesn't seek to entertain us in order to harvest our attention. Instead, it takes a different route, and often its primary use for this undivided attention isn't to sell us something or briefly occupy our minds, it's far more sinister. The content I speak of is often referred to as rage bait, and it's regularly just as, if not more effective than pure entertainment at grabbing our attention. How often have you been scrolling and stopped to see panels of people screaming at each other, over and over again, doing the most outrageous things for any click they can get? And then how often do you open the comments of these sorts of videos to find the masses battling and angry and endless discourse? For most social media users, this is an everyday occurrence, and the subject matter is often something that doesn't even directly affect them or the majority of those left angry, killing hours of their day debating in comment sections. Reddit, Twitter, news headlines, billboards, everywhere we look there's something designed to elicit and exploit these emotions, because these emotions cause us to become invested and hold our attention. This constant rage baiting and amplification of discourse focused around cultural subjects, rather than subjects that are actually relevant to us today, has worked to create a false boogeyman, keeping the masses distracted from what really matters. Instead of directing our general dissatisfaction towards policymakers and people in power, we're often expending our energy directing manufactured outrage at people in the same socio-economic position as we are, the same day-to-day problems that we have. American happiness is at an all-time low, with only 19% of people stating that they're very happy with their lives, 24% stating that they're explicitly unhappy, and everybody else falling somewhere in a range of indifference. And despite what folktales and fictional stories might tell you, money is a decent indicator of general happiness. According to economists, as of 2023, overall happiness generally increases with earnings up to $500,000 per year. Only 1% of American households actually earn this, and just 13 years ago, this figure was only 75,000, meaning spending power is getting exponentially worse for everyone and directly affecting people's happiness. Whereas billionaire banking families, bloated tech elites, and sociopathic titans of industry have untold billions, many people in society would agree that more spending in government needs to be put towards people, especially towards their pursuit of happiness. Yet this seems to be an incredibly difficult idea for people to unite behind, and it often comes down to distraction. And this isn't just a problem in America, but the entire world. More often than not, economic ideologies are indirectly associated with ultimately irrelevant culture wars or identity politics that divide people. And the internet's ability to constantly distract us and amplify the most rage-inducing discourse turns the 99% against each other, rather than against the policymakers or the corporations and the 1% of people making all of our lives more difficult. Instead, we're left constantly arguing through our keyboards, ingesting content that makes us rip our hair out, and attacking the people in our socio-economic brackets, doomed to remain passengers on a ship steered by the rich and powerful, completely upholding a status quo we all loathe, talking to everyone we love and know about silly culture war nonsense that is infecting all of our minds and emotions. And this age of distraction shows no signs of stopping. In fact, the noise is getting more deafening by the day. So what can we do to correct this course? Well, this all relates to how we think and what we place value on our attention. If we can start seeing attention as something we actively exchange rather than a passive and endless resource we possess, maybe we start to catch ourselves in moments where our eyes glaze over and our minds go numb. Maybe we catch our blood pressure rising over subjects of little importance to us individually. And maybe then we can finally stop the endless scroll of meaningless content and empty distractions, opting instead to occupy our minds with something or someone in our lives that's actually worthy of our attention. Because after all, attention is your most valuable commodity. But if you're interested in really finally defeating your social media addiction once and for all, I think you'll find my community of interest. You see, I'm actively working with like-minded people in my school to destroy internet addiction, with one-to-one calls and posts from me personally, where I help you every week move away from a life of constant distractions, where you can recover your time back. In the community, you'll also be with a small tribe of us, where we go into way more detail on overcoming this problem. So if you're interested in this, there's a link in the description below. On YouTube, I've already discussed many of the challenges that we all face, like loneliness, meaninglessness, and the pitfalls of modernity. And having gone through all of these problems myself, I have personally used the best philosophers, psychologists, and sociologists to overcome all of this and build the channel that you're watching today. However, the video format here does have some limitations, as I've always wanted a more personal connection with my audience, where we can have deeper discussions where I can know you by name, and we get to really know each other as people, which is why I have launched the Moon School of Living, which isn't just another online community. It's hosted on School, free from trolls, shitposts, and any other garbage. It's a premium environment with high value members, where you can expect at least 3 weekly calls, where we discuss topics like modernity, philosophy, and how I make these YouTube videos, where all sessions are recorded for later access. We've also got a course on video editing and upcoming ones on modernity, philosophy, YouTube, money, and so many more, where you'll be a part of a close-knit community of us where we connect with like-minded people, away from our broken habitus. We've already had some great calls on this whole power structure thing, ayahuasca, internet addiction, and personalized YouTube reviews where I literally go over aspiring YouTube creators, giving them one-to-one advice. It's $99 a month, and I know this is expensive, but it ensures a high-quality experience for serious learners in a much smaller community for all of us. If you're skeptical or find it too pricey at the moment, just continue enjoying my regular content and please don't worry about this. But if you feel the community is for you, there's a 7-day refund and cancelling is hassle-free. So if my content's resonated with you and you've enjoyed this video, imagine being part of a tight-knit community of us, where I personally know you and celebrate your progress. If you're interested, just check the link in the description below.